Sugar wasn't being produced in the United States of America, so in 1890, the McKinley Tariff implemented a 2-cent per pound bounty, which boosted domestic production of sugar beets. At the turn of the century, newspapers declared the Milk River Valley on the High Line of Montana fit for farming sugar beets because the cool Montana climate provided the right conditions for growing beets, which were planted in the spring and harvested in the fall. In 1906, businessmen and farmers campaigned for a sugar beet factory to be constructed. By 1925, the Utah-Idaho Sugar Company visited Montana and surveyed lots in Malta and Chinook as potential sites to build a factory. The Utah-Idaho Sugar Company was owned by the Church of the Latter-day Saints, and for a period of 16 years, Joseph Smith was actually the president of the company. Chinook was selected as the site of the sugar beet factory for two reasons. One being Chinook had a large German immigrant population who knew how to farm sugar beets, and Chinook was closer to the Great Northern Railroad. A failed sugar beet factory in Yakima, Washington supplied the machinery for the new factory in Chinook. The machinery was loaded onto 100 rail cars and hauled to the construction site in February of 1925. A channel was built to drain impurities called lime mud into the Milk River, and after several months, the factory was opened on October 21st of 1925, just in time for harvest. On the day of the factory's opening, the governor of Montana, as well as other dignitaries, visited the factory and had a luncheon where sugar that was made at the factory a week earlier was served. In 1928, the factory expanded and was able to work the lime mud into the ground as fertilizer for sugar beets instead of draining it into the Milk River. In 1929, the sugar beet factory donated a uniform to the boys basketball team that had a giant sugar beet on the uniform, and since then, all Chinook teams have been known as the Sugar Beeters. In 1944, during World War II, there was a shortage of sugar beet farmers, so they brought in 500 Mexican nationals and 250 German prisoners of war to work in the fields in Chinook. The German POWs lived in a tent city in the fairgrounds, and by the fall of 1944 were done with work and moved to a different location. Declining interest in growing sugar beets caused the factory to close in 1952, and the machinery was moved and shipped to a factory in Moses Lake, Washington after the closure. Even though this factory is non-operational, it still has had a huge impact on the town of Chinook, and 2025 marks its 100th year, and every year since 2004, Chinook celebrates the sugar beet factory with a sugar beet festival, and still to this day, their mascot remains the Sugar Beeters.